Hello there. It is Thursday, January 25th. Welcome back to Blue Heinz Garage. We're here this morning. We've been up to a whole bunch of different stuff. Obviously the holidays, getting ready and undoing the holidays takes a fair amount of time. Been doing some landlord stuff. Trying to arrange a painter for this, and trying to make sure I've got all of the preliminaries on this ready for the painter. You know, you keep thinking about this and thinking about that and remembering this and remembering that. One last thing I'm trying to do here today is this area where you see the tape and the notes here. This piece of metal is at the back side of this. This piece of metal is about 3/16 of an inch proud of the wood. And you see it's got nail holes in the metal. It's supposed to fasten to the wood. Because this whole top wraps with a vinyl of some sort of a fabric that makes it, you know, closes it. So the wood is supposed to be against the metal, and you might be able to pull it back to the metal with nails, but it isn't going to look nice the way it's set up right now. The wood is a little short of the metal, like I said. So what I'm trying to accomplish here is to modify the wood so that it comes out right behind the metal. Not only that, the wood is not much, you can barely see in there. The wood doesn't come very far down below those nail holes. It's like, as I recall, and I have to investigate that and make sure that I'm accurate with that. The bottom of the wood is only slightly below those nail holes. So what I'm trying to do here is two things. I have a hunk of poplar, and then the plan is, once I get it apart and I know I can do this or not do this or how exactly I'm going to do it, the plan is to cut this piece that goes forward. You see there's another, the back is one piece, the side is a different piece. What I have to do is come from the back corner here up 7 1/4 inches. See the note? From 3/16 towards the camera to nothing right here. They're like a taper, because the metal's touching there. And the other thing is, right here, it's covered by the tape right now. Right here, there's a stress crack. So that has to be aligned. The metal there has to be aligned and welded, and it's the same on both sides. So evidently this assembly, as manufactured, twists and moves enough that the metal nailed to the wood here and nailed to the, there's a wood piece here, the door post actually is wood, and then it's wrapped with the sheet metal. So evidently when this vehicle is moving, there's enough twisting and stuff going on there that it stresses that corner, and it's cracked it. Now since then, you notice here I have tubing, metal tubing that traces the wood, and it's down the side of the back side of this, the back side of this post as well. That's tubing right there, 3/4 inch tubing, and you can see it over here going down behind the wood. See, and it's fastened to the wood, it's fastened on the top. This thing is all, it's got a metal frame on it now. The way it was manufactured, if you took the wood off, the front and the back were separated. There was nothing tying them together except the wood. This post here has a, sorry, I'm on Zoom still. This post here has a tenon that goes up into the header. So anyway, I'm trying to, long story here, I'm trying to modify that to make it match the metal. So, because the wood isn't going to the painter, the wood's going to be removed and stay here. He's going to paint all the metal. So, like I said, the wood has to fit the metal, and I don't want to be trying to do that after it's all painted. So anyway, here we go. Bye. Okay, well, let's see if there's any way that I can show you removing the top off of this thing. I got it all unfastened, and it's ready to come off. So here goes. That side. I'll be enjoying this when I'm putting it back. Aha, there it goes. Okay, now how do I get it loose without scratching it all up? Not exactly light. Not exactly light or convenient. There we are. I don't know what you're seeing in the picture, but there we are. Obviously the center console goes right here, and that's already out in the back of the truck. Okay. Well, that's better than I thought. I'll show you in a minute. Let me get some light on this. Okay, well, there it is with its toupee off. There's the console from the center of the roof inside, the two speakers, the visor, and that's just a paper cover on there for mock-up. So anyway, let me show you this so I can show you a little more outside, explain better outside. See the top of this metal? It's got the nail holes here where it nails to the wood. And I was under the impression it's been at least 5 years, maybe closer to 10 years since I've had this top off of here. I mean, this project hasn't gone exactly fast. So let me show you. I was concerned that the wood didn't hang down very far below the nail holes. So I was, besides making the wood come out to meet the metal, I was going to try and make it go down lower to give the nails more material to go into. Well, what I just discovered, I put a pencil mark. Sorry. I put a pencil mark, before I removed it, I put a pencil mark across the top of this metal. And I'll show you where that pencil mark is. So that's a nice little discovery, because I thought there was no wood here, and there is. Can you see that pencil mark there? Like right about at the bottom of the tape? Comes up here to where these scratches are. I was cutting the sheet metal here and I did that. I'll patch this before I put it back. But you see that pencil mark? There is, I just measured it, there's roughly a 1/2 inch of wood below the pencil mark where those nails go. So that's plenty of material. And looking at the way this is built, trying to go lower than that would be a real project, because there is a flat piece of sheet metal. You see this piece of sheet metal right here? It's right where the bottom of the wood is. See? So to go below that would be a real pain. But like I said, there's enough material that now you can see the tubing that I was trying to describe earlier too. This cab now is all tied together, front to back, side to side, with steel. Instead of, now originally there was nothing here. The wood was all, you fasten the wood in the front and you fasten the wood there. The wood was what was holding it together, and as the wood got old and the screw holes got loose and stuff like that, you can imagine what these things moved like, you know, what they sounded like. So like I said, there's a stress crack right here. You can kind of see in the paper there where the tape is in the crack. So that's got to get welded. So I'll probably have to remove this in order to weld that so I don't burn it. And it's the same on both sides. As you see, I got the speaker boxes there. I'll take them off too. I mean, that's the thing with doing one of these things. There's a whole lot of 2 and 3 and 4 times through, you know. I put those speaker boxes up at least twice already. I built them, which wasn't fun. I don't know how many tries I did before I got everything cut and bent so that it all folded, in other words, so that it all fit, at least twice. But anyway, here we go. This is good. This is all good progress. I mean, it's going backwards right now, but at least it's progress anyway. The other thing I need to do before I put the wood back is take advantage of the fact that I can get up here. You see this? I gotta get a better place to show you this. Okay, way back when I was fabricating here, putting this thing back together, because remember when I got this, it was a basket case. It was a bunch of parts and pieces. Nothing was assembled. The cab was just the cab, and everything else was loose. The bed had been, they started shortening the bed, that wasn't even finished. It had a new tailgate because the old one was gone. Anyway, these pieces here on the corner that fasten, that allow you to fasten the top. See all of this and the tubing, none of that existed. So I built all of that and attached it where you see it here. Okay, so now that I've made the top with the console in the center, I have to have a passage to get all kinds of wiring. There's a radio in the console. There's a third brake light in the back of that roof section. There's a 47 Chevy tail light that I'm using as a third brake light. So those wires have to come up the post somehow, up the A post somehow, and go over to the console area, the center of the roof, and then go back for the tail light. There's wiper motors up here. Like I said, the radio itself, the speaker wires have to go from the radio in the console down through this tubing over to the speaker boxes. But at any rate, the main thing is all this stuff that has to come up from down below. There's almost no passage through here. So you see here, it's blocked off on the top here. So what I'm going to do, and down through the post, there's a very small opening, and there's no way to work that. So now that I got the top off, I'm going to drill a hole in here with a hole saw so that I can get the biggest bit possible, maybe even a hole saw on a long extension, and drill a hole down through there. Wherever it's blocked off, I got to drill through it so that I can make, and then put maybe a piece of some sort of plastic to act as a raceway to run the wires through so they don't chafe inside the post. And I'm going to do that on both sides. So I have conduit, you might say, some measure of conduit going down both A posts. So again, like I said, now that I got this apart, I'm going to take advantage of the space and work through it. All right, anyway, here goes. Well, as you can see, we've gotten this far. Got the piece attached, and I'm in the process of shaping it. So it's going. I actually had to make the piece twice. You see the notch here on the back. I was making the notches that I didn't make in the piece till after it was attached, and I cut this off, which I can't do because the end of the other pieces, this radius is on the end of the back piece, and it needs to extend 3/16 of an inch, so I had to make that over again. You can see the taper now. See how much thinner it is here than it is there? So that's what I'm doing. I'm shaping it later. Well, there it is. You can see the I'm not prepared. The wood pretty much now matches the metal. See, the metal will go nicely against the wood. Can you see that? Yeah, the metal will go nicely against the wood here. Okay, so, and this all gets covered, like I said, with a vinyl. It's similar. It's not like a modern convertible top. At least the original ones weren't. I might use some kind of convertible top material. I'm not sure yet. So it gets chicken wire and then some kind of padding, and then the vinyl or whatever it is. And then there's a little strip, there's like a little trim strip that goes on the bottom, around the bottom. Covers the intersection. It covers, I think it just comes to this edge along here. Maybe a little, maybe, I don't know what it does, because it's got to cover this joint, this metal. You see that there, now you can see that stress crack thing there that I cut it open so we can weld it. We'll have to take the post out of there. There you go. That took all day. Believe it or not, that took all day. Got that corner all shaped. All right. See you later. Good morning. Welcome back to Blue Heinz Garage. Today is Sunday the 28th. Been working on this thing now fairly constant for the last couple of days. Mostly trying to arrange wiring, routing, pathways down the windshield posts. So let me get closer here. I can show you this windshield. The inside of the, I guess the best way is right here. The inside of this post, you see there isn't a whole lot of space in there. And there's areas when they put this together, you know, where this dash rail goes across into the post that's kind of blocked off, where the header goes across into the post that's kind of blocked off. So all of that needs to get hogged out, and it's not the easiest thing to do because it's really hard to get access into there. Aside from that, you see the speakers cabinet, little boxes back there in the back of the cab. There's no good way to hide the wire going back there either, besides this piece of tubing. And the piece of tubing, the way it is configured, is tough to get into. So you see there's a hole right there? And that hole right now on this side's been enlarged. See if I can show you what's on top. See, I made these openings in the top. I actually drilled this one so I could get down the post, see what I needed to do down there. But this is for the wiring for the speakers. And back here, I've done the same thing over the top of the speaker box. So like before I put the roof on, the wood on, even after I put the wood on, this is accessible before I put the fabric on top. But at any rate, it allows me to get actual speaker cable through the tubing, and then from the end of the tubing down here and into the header space. You see what I have going down the posts here? On this side, I've got two wire looms like they used to use on knob and tube wiring. I've got two wire looms going down through there. So, and I'm going to end up with two more of those looms going down the other side. The size wires that are used in the electrical of something like this, I've got a radio up there. I've got the two wiper motors up there. That's probably the biggest draw, the two wiper motors. The radio is up there. There's a brake and a tail light up there that are in the back of the rear header panel of the roof. And a dome light. So altogether, I think with some grounds, because in the wood, you obviously, if you got stuff fastened to the wood, you need to run a ground wire. There's no continuity in the wood. So I need to run one or two ground wires, probably one number 12 ground wire up there would be more than enough. Maybe I'll just run two smaller ones or something like that. Because obviously the dome light needs to get a ground, the brake light needs to get a ground because it's way in the back. And on the wood, not on metal. Yeah, if I ran two small ground wires for those two things, that would be enough. And then, like I say, hot for a tail light and a brake light conductor. So two ground wires, two of those, that's 4. Radio hot, 5. A radio constant hot, 6. And the wiper switch, 7. That should be all I need to get up there. And in those 4 looms, I'm sure I can get 7 of those small wires up there easily. If nothing else, the other idea, well, I was talking to Scott, the other idea that came up was make a small bundle, 3 or 4 wires, put a suitable size piece of shrink tube over it, and just run that up the channel. Or maybe double up the shrink tube, put a shrink tube over it, shrink it, and then put another one over it. So you get a decent thickness of insulation. Either one of those would work. The shrink tube thing would be the smallest bundle that I could create, I'm pretty sure. That would probably be as large as one of those looms. And I could do that, half of the wires on each side, so I know that I could get them up there. Anyway, I'm in the process right now of making those slots in the tubing on this side, on the passenger side. I'll show you how that works. So you see, I started here with I drilled a hole with a unibit till it reached the sides of the tubing. And then what I'll do is I'll go forward to the end of the tubing here. So it gives me a nice area to work in. And the same thing I'm doing back here, a hole, and then I'll cut between those two. See the 2 lines between those 2 holes? I'll open that slot up. So once I have a slot at each end of the tubing, it's nothing to push the wire. Well, the wire will just push through until it shows up at the other end. And then down through, I didn't drill the hole, I enlarged the hole going down. There's already a hole going down there, but it's not nearly as big because it's tough to do from the bottom. From the top, I'll drill a 1/2 inch hole there, a hole almost as big as the inside of the tubing. and I'll have easy routing of the wiring that way. So anyway, that's what's going on. And then I think I'm going to put all this. I don't need to put it all back together because I'm going to have to send it to the painter. I'm going to have to remove it all. But I want to see it finished. I want to see what it looks like done. So I think I'm going to reassemble it all. All right, later. You see, I even removed the hinge up here at the top because the screws that mount the hinge stick out the back side of the hinge. And this is the narrowest part of the post where I'm trying to get something to go up through there. So I've been cutting off the hinge, the screws, so they only they get a full thread through the hinge, but no more, because the hinges are threaded. At least the top ones are. The middle one there, I've got nuts on the back of it for some reason. That they weren't threaded, but the top one is threaded. So I've got the screws so they just reach the back side of the hinge, maybe with one thread sticking out past that, just to not use up any space in there, not pinch anything. Okay, well, there it is, all back together, at least from this side. I don't have the other door back on it yet, but from the side we see all the time, it looks like it's back together. Just a couple of other things left to do before it's completely ready for the painter, I think. These screws you see here are for mounting the speaker boxes. And that's difficult. You see they go kind of in between the back of the cab and that tubing, the square tubing that traces the wood. So they're, I think that if I remember right, they're notched in behind the little box is notched in behind the tubing, as I recall. So that I think I have mounts going into the wood and mounts going into the back of the cab. So I can't, my son was asking me yesterday when I told him about this, can you use studs here? No, I don't think so, because I think it fastens on both sides, and it's notched behind the, I'm not sure of that, but I think it's notched behind the tubing. So I don't think a stud sticking out here would allow the box to go into place. I have to check that out. But at any rate, those I'm going to try. I'm going to see if I can find something like a smaller version of a lag bolt that has a round head. You know, if those are 1/4 inch, I believe. So if I can find lag bolts that are 3/16 or even smaller, like 1032, so they have a round head on them, no slot, no. I don't want a button head. I want something that looks like a rivet, so that I can put it in there now, fasten it, and it gets painted with the back of the truck. So I need 4 on each side. See, there's 2 here for the map pockets and 2 there for the speaker boxes. The hole that you see right there, and there's one on the opposite side that matches it, were from the old seat back support. The back supports in there got modified to try to make a bit more room, because there's absolutely, I'm not big at all, I'm not tall. And there's absolutely no room in these trucks, these cabs. So everybody was much smaller back then, I assume. I think I've heard of that, and it seems to be the case. So those have to get filled, plugged. I'm not sure if we'll put a patch or just fill them with weld, but at any rate, those 2 holes have to get plugged, and the screws got to get put in here to resemble rivets. And then the last thing that has to happen is there's one of these on each side also. This one's been sawed out to make it bigger because the metal was kind of lapping one over the other, so I had to cut it so I could butt it up, make it flush. So there's one of those on each side, which I believe is going to mean this post has to get removed. Right now that post just bolts in. It bolts to the metal at the bottom, it bolts to the metal at the top, and I don't recall if it bolts to the tubing in the middle, but and then the sheet metal nails to it. the exterior of the body nails to it. So I think I'm going to have to remove those to do the welding. I'm not looking forward to that because frequently you take this stuff out and put it back and it seems how somehow or other it don't go back in the same place. But we're going to give it a try. And then this thing will be completely ready for the painter. Then it will have to be disassembled down to the bare metal. We'll take apart what I took apart this weekend and put back in. At any rate, I know it all works now, so that's the main reason for doing what I'm doing. See you later. Thanks for watching. Bye.